What is integrated pest management? Integrated pest management is the use of all safe and available methods or practices as pest control, but in the right way, so as to not to affect the health of people, the environment, and to minimize crop losses. What do you mean by non-chemical based and chemical based control of pests? Non-chemical based means not using any chemical as a pesticides. The methods that can be used here can be manual methods such as sweeping and water extraction and many others. The chemical based control is the use of different chemicals as pesticides that most farmers are used to. What are the disadvantages and advantages of each control methods? In regulatory control, the advantage of regulatory control is that due to the loss of rules enforced by the government, we can do our duties well when it comes to pests in the right way without us doing any abuse or breaking the law. The possible disadvantage of this is that we may not be able to control the pests well because the farmers have their own method of pest control. The method that needs to be used in their field may not work, but they have no choice but to follow it. In genetic manipulation of crops and host plant resistance, its advantage is that it cannot be penetrated by pests so easily because it has resistance the antibiosis and antisenosis. Its disadvantage is time consuming because you need a quite long time for this control tactic. In genetic manipulation of pests, advantages over SIT is that both males and females can be both released, may require fewer release individuals. It can insert in a widely variety of the genes. The disadvantage is that it requires several pest generations before lethal condition. In behavioral control, the advantage of this is that because of this tactic, we can control the behavior of the pest so that there is no abnormal in production in the pest species and so that we can control its quantity. Its disadvantage is that it requires a large area and it can also cause characteristics affect result in pest species. In biological control, the advantage of this is that natural enemies are used to control the pest, which means that the use of pesticides or chemicals that can affect the soil or the plant will be reduced. The disadvantage of this is that the pest may not be exhausted and multiply even more because the natural enemies may not be enough to eradicate them. Chemical control and biopesticides. The advantage of this tactic is the use of biopesticides where the ingredients are organic that may not affect the soil and the plant. The disadvantage is that the use of different chemicals that we don't know the effect that the effect or the effect on our soils or crops. In physical control, its advantage is that it does not use any chemical, only human labor and natural waste. But its disadvantage is that they using fire to control pests. Because of it badly affects the environment because of the smoke it emits. Cultural control and agroecology. The advantage of this is that they use methods that they have thought of and are effective but is that does not have a bad effect on us or the environment. They just use the traditional practices that are included in their culture. The only disadvantage of this is that it requires many people to do this tactic because it can be difficult if you are the only one, especially if you have a large field. In Philippine rice farms, is APM widely practiced? Explain why. Yes, because it's very applicable to the way they plant rice. Many rice farms in the Philippines use integrated pest management in the fields. They use friendly pest control methods so that other organisms such as birds and others are not affected. Economically viable farming practices is used so that they do not affect the environment. So have a good quality of rice, safe for human health. The production will increase because the production in the field will be maximized and of course so that the farmers have a nice profit.